our thoughts together. It's my Hi, and welcome to My Perspective. I'm Lisette, and this is our cast. And you know what? Today we got a great show. We want to know why in the world are you hating on rich people? Why are you hating on rich people? What's wrong with you? Why you hate, why you hating on wealthy people? I know, but you know what? We want to know the reason for that. For one thing, I want to know, for instance, like someone that has come up with you, someone that came from the hood of your community or your neighborhood, and all of a sudden they just seem to make it rich. They maybe graduated you from with school and maybe graduated from college with you, and all of a sudden, not necessarily all of a sudden, but now they're wealthy. So now you got a little hater. What's wrong with this? What's this?
Let me start off.
And I knew Mark was gonna say, "Let me start off," because Mark gets in there quick. Go ahead, Mark.
Well,
before you start, I want to welcome a very special guest with us from Chi Chi Films. Chi Chi Edna Njuku here with us. Everybody wave and say hi to us. It's going to be delighted to have her here on a last minute whim. She's such a great supporter. Chi Chi, come on. And she said, I'll do it. Just like that. So she's always amazing. In the YouTube description after the show, we'll have links to her websites, Instagram, and you guys can check her out and see the fun things that she has planned in store. All right, go ahead, Mark.
Let me start the discussion with a question. What's the definition of rich or wealthy?
I like that.
Is that somebody that has X number of dollars, or just somebody that has more money than you?
Ooh, that's that part.
I like that.
Someone who's exuding happiness and joy and are content with what they have.
That's a really good.
Well, but in terms of dollars and cents, how do you define rich? Because we are talking material wealth, not spiritual wealth or anything like that. But it's actually
right. But I think
I have the perfect one for that.
Okay, go ahead, Henry.
Rich is Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, he's rich. The person that writes Kobe Bryant paycheck, that guy is wealthy.
He's also dead.
Yeah, that's a bad example. That's a bad example, Henry.
Okay. Let's say, what's another NBA player that can arrive? Steph Curry.
LeBron James.
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is rich.
Mm-hmm.
No,
you know what I heard from
Michael Jordan.
Wait,
Kevin
I'm
Durant.
doing a
Michael
documentary.
Okay, hold on, everybody.
Hold on.
One at a time, because this is some juicy stuff going on up in here. Let's come on. Let's
I just said define rich.
So define rich. Like one of my clients is a former NBA player, Terry Cummings, and he said to me, one of his good friends is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan does not pay for anything. You take him out to eat. Like he even says, I'm not sure why it's that way, but I never pay for anything. People always pay for it for me. So when you want to define rich, you want to define someone's money that's probably very long. And he's earned it through work, through endorsements, through things that will kind of just not go away. Like Jordan's ain't going away no time soon. What is embedded in history is never just going to go away. That is rich. Elon Musk, I can buy up Twitter and I can shut up one guy. We're not going to be, I don't know who's jealous or angry at those kind of people. I love those kind of people that they exist, but whoever tell us why.
I can tell you what it is, and we're getting up. Mark does that thing where he throws the curveball and gets us off the rails here. We're talking about people with a lot of money, whether it's rich, wealthy, and I think what we were getting at is sometimes when you're watching people do these narratives where they're trying to tell other people what to do with their money. Like, because you're a millionaire, you should be donating more money here. Because you're a billionaire, you should be doing this. And we get in the habit of telling people with money, no matter how they earned it, what to do with their money, because it's what we say we'll do if we had that money, but it's not necessarily true. I think that's a part of that too. Stop telling other people what to do with their money. If you want to be a billionaire and you don't want to donate to anything and spend anything anywhere, that's your prerogative. It's your money. And so you get a lot of people that have animosity but that can range from a lot of things, whether it's jealousy, whether it's people who are really, some people really, really get angry when they don't see people with money doing certain things. Is that fair?
That's a very big one.
I mean, I feel like not many rich people came from everything. You know, they really work hard to get to where they are. And who are you, or who is anyone to tell them how they spend their money?
I agree, but don't sometimes you expect them to be more sympathetic, especially if they may have come through some tough times themselves, if they've been poor before.
But here's John. Here's something else I was going to say a while ago, but I anticipated this, and I'm sorry to kind of let you fall into that trap. But I knew going into this show that we were going to have a lot of sentences that began with they and them.
Mm-hmm.
And if we apply the statement they and them to almost any other group, then we are perceived as, let's just say, not good. Okay.
Mhm.
So we got to be careful before we just, categorically include all of any one type of income group as a they or a them, because they're all over the place. I mean, some wealthy people are very generous with their money. Some are not. Whether that's right or wrong, that's between them and their conscience. All right. But I've heard it said this way, that how would you be with your money if you had $1 billion? And the answer is about the same as you are right now with what you have.
Interesting. That's interesting, because I guess the way you perhaps would act is the same way that you act with just a little bit. If you're stingy now with a little bit, you're probably going to be stingy then. That's a very good point. Do y'all agree with that?
And if you spend it all now, you're gonna spend it all then.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come on.
There are plenty of athletes and entertainers that can attest to that. Yeah.
Right.
I want to say yes and no,
See,
because
I
I see both
don't-
sides of that. Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. I don't subscribe to that. See, that's that thing again. We're saying stingy, right? Because we're again telling people what to do with their money. Now, I do understand the upsetment because, for instance, really quickly, I remember when the hurricane came through Houston, and you know how what happens when natural disasters happen. When I go into Walmart and they have the signs for every dollar you donate, we'll match it. I'm like, Walmart, why you want my dollar? I ain't got no money. Each one of them kids is worth $30 billion. How about you just give them the money? Why I gotta donate
Exactly.
So I get it. It's like, why do you need my dollar if I work at McDonald's? Why can't you just do it yourself? So I get it. But again, we don't want to spend our hard-earned money. So you're telling the person who has a higher amount of hard-earned money, what to do with it. So is that hypocritical?
I think like
It
Mark
can
said,
be.
Yeah, it can be, but truth of the
It's
matter is,
yes.
people spend at where they're at with what they want to do with their money. If you were somebody coming up and you have a lot and you spend a lot, when you get older, you're going to spend a lot. Or when you get more money, your lifestyle will change to include that behavior you always had. Unless you're studying to change, be more giving or less giving, or whatever it is that your mentors or people who are helping you have suggested at the time. People typically keep that attitude of, if I am going to give a lot, I take my sister as an example, who I remember when she was going to medical school. She was a struggling student. And as soon as she graduated and became a doctor, we would go on these trips that she could afford, right? It was like Disney and stuff like that, because it was her way of, I made it, right? And now she is a cardiologist, and she still does the same thing. She's like the person who's like, everyone's coming to my house for dinner. Everyone's coming to me because I'm the one that has the bacon, and we all respect it. A lot of times before we do anything to family, I tell my kids, have you called auntie that thing? Or, if I do something big, I'll call her and be like, hey, I did this. Financially, she's like, I'm not sure. So it's not because I need her to give me money. It's just that I've been in a place where I've looked up to her, and she's been the older sister to step up to do that. And I respect her wealth now. And I don't see myself saying, she should do this or that with her money, but it's easy to do that because I feel as though maybe I should know what she should be doing, but who am I to say? I just see that the behaviors she had before are some of the behaviors she still has now. You know?
That's beautiful. You know, that's really beautiful. You know, I absolutely agree. You know, it's but why should we hate? Just kind of like what John said. We can't tell people how to use their money, especially when we want to use our money the way we want to use it. But I guess kind of like a human sense type version of it. You want people to be human, and you want people to not be so what's the word for it?
I don't know, because I don't know where you're going.
Stingy? I'm gonna go back to I don't know, stingy or
when you sent me this text about the title, who's the hater? I want to know this category.
Who did what, Chi-Chi?
Say it again.
Who's the hater? Where are you getting
No.
So
So we get categories all over the place. So our viewers, they send us categories. So we love to just talk about them because my perspective loves to give their perspective on things. And so like we were saying in the beginning, it's so many avenues to this because I know people personally, and everybody does, who talk about what people with a lot of money should do. We see it with athletes a lot. People get mad when athletes get a certain amount of money or don't do a certain, and they always use that same argument. Well, these NBA players make so much money. What about our teachers and firemen and policemen? Well, I mean, I don't know why we do those comparisons when if you worked in an industry that your market value is that, then whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It's not the NBA players' fault that people are paying billions of dollars to put commercials during an NBA game. So you rather the NBA get all that money and give the players nothing? Would that satisfy you, guy with no money? Because, hey, listen, I'm not rich, but I remember when I had way less money and I was younger, I was one of those people. Dang, these people with all this money. So if you're complaining so much about people with money, what's that saying about you?
Well, one response I have is the set will relate to this, is that the Bible doesn't say this, but the early church fathers did. They defined the 7 deadly sins, one of which is envy. And what are we very often most envious about? Material possessions.
Yeah.
Either you have more money or you have a better looking spouse. It comes down to that. They also say that greed is one of the 7 deadly sins too, but greed is not confined to the upper classes. I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. I met plenty of greedy, poor, and middle class people.
That's true.
They just aren't as successful. So
don't forget lust. That ties into that trinity as well. You lust after power. You lust after wealth. You lust after position.
Yeah.
We've got two comments from social media links. 1971 says, I think it only matters how rich treat those with less. And Camille Valentine says, what about our politicians and government officials who get paid so much money to help the people and they don't? Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I'm not going on a big diatribe. I don't like doing sweeping generalizations, but it does annoy me. I live in North Carolina, and I remember a couple years ago, they were talking about the poverty level in North Carolina, but yet they had a report like the governor's mansion is getting, not the mansion that belongs to him that he has to stay in. They're doing like a $4 million bathroom renovation. And it's just like, but y'all got potholes in the road. Can we fix the potholes before we fix his toilet for $4 million? That's the kind of stuff I think people can get angry with, but getting angry at individual rich people like a Jeff Bezos who sold, things out of his garage and now he's one of the richest men in the world. I mean, is that his fault?
No.
Nope. I don't believe it is. I don't think necessarily people.
Right, because that's a government official versus a socialite.
Mm-hmm.
I take issue with the assumption that politicians make a lot of money. Now, where I see, and I don't want to get us too down the rabbit hole as far as politics go, There are political officials and people in government that manage to profit off of public service, but they do it by, putting themselves in private ventures and whatnot. But the highest paid politician in the country, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the president of the United States, who makes about $400,000 a year. Politicians, say the ones in Congress, don't make that much money. Now, a lot of them have money when they go in, and of course, it's debatable whether or not they do, as this person was saying, whether or not they do a good job governing us. That's something else. But I don't really subscribe to the idea that politicians make all that much money. And in fact, most politicians, say at the state level, your legislators, your county commissioners, city commissioners, are paid part-time wages. They don't make that much.
Well, you think about what you just said, Mark. The president makes $400,000 a year. There's CEOs of companies that do way less than the president that make, $10 million a year. Yeah. So it's all comparative, right?
Yeah, but I think if you look at the fact that a lot of them have money in their campaign, when the campaign starts, the campaign is pumped with money to do ads, to do the travel, to win, right? And they get a lot of donors that are one-sided, okay? So if you like the liberal guy who's running, all the liberal rich folks, pump money there. And a lot of that money goes to people that work on the campaign trail, the campaign, the ad, everything that they spend on. So it doesn't really go to them. And then when they finish, win the office, they try to use that influence to affect change in that particular community. Whether they do that and raise the proper budget to fix what the needs is then, it's not really theirs, and then they could get into a lot of trouble, like the former mayor of Detroit, Kwame, that got arrested for using the money that was given to him. So yes, difference between.
Lisette's laughing at me because I'm so immature. Because when you said doo-doo, I started laughing.
I
was wondering why he was over there rolling, and I couldn't figure it out.
It's a good name for a politician, though.
Yeah, so it's really fun. And I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, where there was like a lot of corruption in the government, where the government took the money and just put it in their pocket.
Yeah.
And so the rich were richer, the poor were poorer. We were middle class, but luckily for us, we had some perks that helped us look like the rich. But we were the rich. So we were able to understand the value of that level and grow up with a driver that drove us. And certain things I can't even give my kids now. We had a chauffeur to school and back and went to great schools with, presidents' kids and commissioners' kids. But my parents worked very hard to make that possible. But those countries, different countries they don't have the check and balances we do in America, where, someone gets a bunch of money for a campaign, doesn't use it for a campaign on the roads, just pockets it. And then sometimes once their son in office, daughter in office, or whoever, not really leaving it for other people to get an opportunity to run the country.
Look
we dive into that really quickly.
There are a lot of people that don't run for public office because they can't afford it. You have some congressional representatives that have to sleep in their office because they can't afford housing in Washington, D.C. And you have people that don't run for the legislature in certain states because it pays part-time wages, what's essentially a full-time job, because they don't get paid that much. And what she's talking about with some of the other countries, a whole other ballgame there, particularly non-democracies. But our politicians don't get paid that much. They're not filthy rich, contrary to what people may think. Some have made themselves rich, and some were rich before they went in. But for the most part, that's not the problem. Whether or not they're doing a good job, that's something else.
My thing is this: too much is given, much is required. And I believe that if you are wealthy, you should pay your fair share in taxes.
No way.
That
Donald Trump. So
listen.
Can you imagine if you just tax the rich a little bit more and then just gave the less fortunate a bigger tax return? Would that not incentivize paying taxes?
We already do that.
Well, number one, we do that. It's a narrative that the rich don't get taxed, because if you have I've got some rich friends and they show me what they pay in taxes, and they pay more in taxes than I've made my entire life. So that is kind of the thing. You got to remember, the poorer you are, the better your tax return is. The richer you are, you've got a lot of things that you can apply to your taxes. It's that middle class that gets the most screwed, because I've been in that weird area where I make too much money to get assistance, but I don't make I don't make enough to afford the things I want to do. So it's like that weird little area. But let's move off of politics before the TV show The Conversation has a meltdown, because we've talked about that for about 20 minutes. Henry.
Yep.
What's going on, Henry? Tell me what you think.
Huh. You know, I never really thought about the way that you guys are.
Is that because you make six figures? We're gonna throw that out there like you did a month ago.
Well, I kind of make it in a different way. That I mean, I guess I barely pay tax or anything one so I never really cared.
Well, Henry, Chi-Chi, just to give you a background, we had a episode about is college really worth it? And so Henry, Henry has a really good job. He does well for himself. Did you drop out of college or high school? Which one was it?
Both.
So, I think the main thing that I'm getting at, because Lisette, you've said it a couple times, is you're still telling people what to do with their money. And God forbid if anybody tells me what to do with my money, and I'm not rich. It's my money. I earned it. If I want to do something with it, I'll do it. And if I don't, I don't.
Right.
Let's get on the fact of earning it. If you earn it, Jackson, if you earn money, that means that you had to work hard. You had to work hard for you. You work hard for the money. So therefore, why would people be so have bad feelings towards people that work hard, put in that hard work towards getting there and getting that promotion or having that success, being that wealth, whatever.
It's a psychological.
All that.
Yeah, that's a lot of time because people don't see you working hard, but you did work hard.
But let's look at the price tag really quick. Don't look at the numbers on the price tag and think of it, this is money that I have to pay. Think of it as time of your life that you have to sacrifice in order to equal up to that. Because remember, the phrase is time is money and money is power. How much of your life are you willing to give up in order to equate to this item? If you put in the time in order to say that you have such and such amount of money, are you going to reward yourself by getting the things that you need, or are you going to give back to the community that you live in? However, sometimes, like all of these big rappers that we've seen, they buy expensive, flooded out jewelry. And everybody's just like, what do you need that for? It's not the matter of needing it, they say. It's just the fact that they can buy it, that it feels like a reward to them.
It's a want.
But that comes back into, that comes back into what Mark was saying with envy, greed, as well as lust. It's a material possession. A lot of people say, don't buy anything that you can't take with you to the afterlife, because what are you going to do with it after that?
Yeah, well, again, you got to look at who are the people saying it. So if I make $40,000 a year and I go to buy a watch, I'm going to buy the nicest watch I can buy in terms of my money. But if a person's making $40 million a year, they got to spend it somewhere. What are they just supposed to hoard it? So we go back to that again. And then you said, why do people get mad if you see someone that worked hard for their money and they're spending money? Well, it's a psychological thing. That plumber, not saying all plumbers don't make money, but if you have a job and you're busting your butt all day and you're working hard and you're watching people that have things you don't have, is it playing a psychological toll on you? I work just as hard as them. Yeah, but he's got a different job than you. That's a different avenue.
Exactly. It's more like the manual labor pays more because of what you do. Like there's a lot of people that work for waste management in cities that make a lot of money, but look at what they do. Look at what they have to go through in their day-to-day lives versus as to where, what was I going to say with this?
And then look at the people that sell NFTs and are flipped and they're making money. They stay on the computer for how many hours or doing they just log on online from 6:30, Bitcoin or whatever, and they make their money by 11, they're done. So when you tell me to look at somebody who's rich, I like looking at people who's rich and admiring them, because if he dropped out of school, he may have pick something from Mr. Zuckerberg. What did he do? He dropped out of school. Well, I'm saying a lot of these kids may drop out of school and find a way to be wealthy, a real way, without robbing the bank or setting it off, and enjoy their life without the, I have to go to school, I have to finish 4 years, get in debt to go to school, owe so much money. They may not want to go that route. So meeting somebody, if you look at rich and you look at them, I'm in media, so I look at wealthy people in media and I try to emulate them. Being envious of them does not help me because it does not allow me to grow from what they've done. I finally just started monetizing my YouTube. I've been doing video stuff for 10 years. I think my first trip is coming soon, right? So I now know, okay, I want to pump so much more money into it because people have been talking about it for ages, but I've been doing videos since 2010? So now, again, it's looking at if this person is wealthy, what can I learn from them? What skills do they have that I got to use my life? Because we're in the same field, but if we're not in the same field, there's nothing to look at because I don't sell NFTs. I would never know what to do with NFTs, but if you're in media, you're thriving, I want to know what you did. I want to hang out with you. I should hopefully want to learn and not be envious of your success. That's
good.
Oh, go ahead, host. Well, I'm sorry.
may I pose a question, please, Lisette? May I pose a question? Since she said the Z word, Zuckerberg, okay? And my question is, besides the basic human emotion or tendency toward envy, what are two sources or two things in our culture that exacerbate our envy of the rich? And my answers are: one, social media envy, because we go on social media and see people taking trips and enjoying things, and we think they have it great and so forth. We're envious of that. And sometimes we have the assumption that we assume that they have done something nefarious or dishonest to get there. All right. And the second source is Hollywood. Hollywood has always, yes, you won't.
No, Mark. No, I'm gonna interrupt you. The reason why I say that because we're picking on the new thing, but that's always
no, it's not new.
What I'm saying is you said social media.
He came for us.
It's been a thing since the beginning of time, keeping up with the Joneses.
You said Jones. You said Jones. My name. All right.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses. You live in a neighborhood. You're at the end of the cul-de-sac. I'd hear people go, well, Linda's husband bought a new car. Why don't we have a new car? Or they get a new thing in their house, and now you want to keep up. And then you're like, how is this person who works in a butcher shop able to afford these things? And we assume they're doing something on the side, or we assume they have all this money coming in. We have learned that some people who are living large have a lot of credit card debt. So there's always been a way to flaunt how you're living that's not really how you're living.
John, the first thing I said is that we had besides the basic human emotion or tendency toward envy, and you're laughing at me because you got me riled up. All right, that's all right. I know that's always been there. I'm just saying that social media has maybe made it worse. But the other thing is Hollywood, and that's nothing new. All right. Now I go back, since I'm the old guy here, the 2000.
Oh God, here comes an Abe Vigoda reference.
No, it's not Abe Vigoda. It's Jimmy Stewart. All right.
I was about to say, Mark, can we get our dead guy quote for the session?
It's not a quote. All right. But a movie in the 1940s called "It's a Wonderful Life," a great Christmas movie. But if you watch that movie closely, they demonize the pursuit of wealth. Mm-hmm. Hollywood has always demonized or vilified people for pursuing wealth, unless it's them. Now, there's a show on in my household now, which I'm sitting through painfully watching it sometimes. I won't mention the name of it, but it's about this elite group of people who go about taking money back from rich people who have ripped poor people off.
Okay? Robin Hood? Men in Tights?
No, it's I don't know what it is. With Timothy Hutton is in it, or something.
Full Monty, Magic Mike.
But
I like how he said he wasn't going to say the name, but now we up here guessing the name. We pulling out.
I forget the name of the show, but Tim Hutton is the star of the show. But they demonize rich people, and people are eating that message up and thinking it's for real. When there are just as many dishonest poor and middle class people as there are dishonest rich people.
So
but my thing is this: why be hating on the wealthy? My thing is this: doesn't that kind of like throw some shade on you? Like especially if the person maybe has gone to college with you or graduated with you, and for some reason or another, you're not celebrating them because you feel like, well, I mean, to me, it's almost like it throws some shade back on you because you could have been successful too, but you chose to not work as hard. And maybe you didn't get the same breaks that they did, but there's no reason. There is no reason.
I don't know about work is hard. It's just work different.
Yeah, but I think that's where I'm lost on the confusion of the hating part. I'm lost on that because if you go to school with someone and you graduated at the same time, you have your own journey. No one's journey, two people's journey are the same. If you graduated and you chose to go work in India for 10 years, and you're in India for 10 years and you're learning how to speak Indian, you come back and you're like, hello, good afternoon, how are you? My name is this, I'm going to serve you at the restaurant now. Oh, I don't remember you a long time. Yes, I'm the one, I went to India back and I'm here now. Who cares? You made a choice. I don't see, and I guess maybe there's a perspective there that people who went and did something different after school are not celebrating those that did, right? And that's called hating.
Right.
Well,
yes, because sometimes they hate.
You know what that's
Listen,
called?
why is that called hating when they're in two different lifestyles and levels? They may just not. It's just like me trying to hang out with Kim Kardashian. I can't. We're not on the same level. So
What's
if
that
we're
called,
not on
John?
the same level, doesn't mean I hate on you. It just means I'm not where
What's
you're
that
at.
called?
Jason,
I'm not where you're at. I can celebrate you. I'm just not where you're at. I'm in a different place where you're at. That can't necessarily be called hating. I just want to throw that out there because yes, some people do hate. Oh, you passed me up in life. But then there's some people who are so busy enjoying their life that whatever it is they're going through can't be called hate. It's just where they're at. And they're not looking at other people.
What's that called though?
What's what
What
called?
is
Like
it
your
called,
level?
Jay?
What's it called? Where you're at your level at their other
Tell us
level.
what all of this was called. There's a label for it. Keone, what's that called?
What's it called?
Keone was over here producing. I wasn't listening to any of y'all.
Oh, yeah, right.
Envy comes to mind.
What is it called when you're not in the same level as somebody else?
Personally, I just like to say this: with social media on the rise and everything, as well as people just wanting to live life, we've lost the luxury of privacy. Now everybody wants to know how you did this. How do you have that?
Well,
why can't you just mind your business?
I disagree with we've lost the luxury of privacy. Your privacy is still in your hands. If you choose to put your stuff on social media, that's your business. There are so many actors and actresses that we know nothing about their personal life, and then there's so many that we know. So it's we blame stuff on social media. We know this, we knew. Well, you got to put it in there for us to know it.
Right. And
so
you put it out there,
it's not social media's fault. It's your fault.
You can't be mad. Yeah. You can't be mad after you've exposed that you went here, did this, and did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every time I see
talking about it now, you're like, well, they know. Yeah. You put it out there.
Every time I see
what about
go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Every time I see somebody on social media holding up a wad of money, I'm like, good job. You got your tax return. Nice picture. Move.
Right.
Move along.
I've gone years. I've gone a whole year not posting on social media or Instagram because I feel as though it doesn't control my life. I think the last time I posted was when I was celebrating my daughter's graduation a couple of months ago. And I had I had major graduations this summer for me. I just now graduated, but I've never looked at the people that graduated before me and thought, because I had a child early. I got married when they didn't, and so while they were still trying to pursue college, I was taking care of a husband and kids. So I chose a different path, and I can't look at them and be like, oh, you did better than me, because they don't have a 22-year-old who just graduated and I still look hot from college and is going on to want to be a doctor, and a son that just graduated from high school, and I'm going into law school this year. So you can't look where I'm at.
Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi. This ain't that type of show.
What you talking about?
Cut the cameras, Chi-Chi. You're going off the rails.
You don't wait late.
Cut
Have them
cameras.
when you're right. Those kids are brilliant and smart. You don't have a
Oh
mate.
my God, we got
People
the
chose to marry late, have kids late. I had my African babies very young, and I'm very proud of them.
Cheeky. I don't think she can hear us. Can she hear us?
Chi-Chi.
I can hear you.
Cheeky. Oh, okay. You done? Wait,
Thank
this
you.
is what, look, on this show, people
And she was
say,
afraid she wouldn't know what to do.
right.
Huh?
We on this show, when people like to slide things in the middle of their speech, we recognize it. She said, 25-year-old daughter still look this good, tried to blow right by it. Okay, bad mama.
Right, because you can't, because at the end of the day, if you appreciate your life, and that's something I mentioned at the beginning, that just idea of being grateful of where you're at is rich. That's what you call wealth. Because how can you define what my wealth is, right?
Health
and some
is
people
wealth.
are asking, your wealth is
That's
just
good.
to have a day to take a bike outside. They just want a day to run a bike. And then Mark said, let's talk about numbers. Then we went into numbers. Okay, numbers is Elon Musk or anybody who just has more than me. But do they really have more than me? Because a lot of rich people aren't happy. Do they have more than me? Because I'm happy. And you're happy. And at your level, if you're happy with what you have, you're wealthy.
I saw a
Because that
commercial.
Health
happiness
is wealth.
I saw a
That's
commercial.
good.
It's an old commercial. I saw a commercial a long time ago. It's a guy riding on a riding lawnmower with a giant house. He goes, I have a big house. I have 3 kids in college. I have 2 good cars. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. And he's just smiling.
right. And nobody knows
At
what
least
they're
he
going
got
to
a
do if they're
smile on his
happy.
face the whole time. He up there
No,
riding on the
Jay, that's the joke. It wasn't a real smile. It was an uncomfortable smile because it looks like he's rich, but he just has and there's a YouTube video of a lady trying to buy something at Walgreens, and she says, my card's not working, and she's like, ma'am, I haven't rang anything up because you have alcohol, and I'm asking you for your ID. She goes, it's an American Express Platinum card. And she said, ma'am, it doesn't matter what card it is. I haven't rang anything up because I need your ID. And she just kept repeating, and she showed the people behind it, this is an American Express Platinum card. And one of the people said, that doesn't mean you're rich. First of all, you're in Walgreens just like the rest of us. And second of all, that just means you have some debt.
Right.
That's all that means.
That's about it. Sometimes we idolize wealthy people, but they got their own problems, just like you're talking about. How can they tell whether someone loved them for them or for their money? Is it their money that you love me for, or so then they have to find somewhere to leave all that stuff when they die. They got to give it somewhere.
No, they don't.
So,
Again,
Yes, they
They
do.
don't.
That's what Jay
Somebody
said.
has to pay off that debt. Somebody has to pay off that debt, John.
no, that's not what
Immediately
that's
goes
not
to
what
the
we
next
no, that's
kid.
not what we're talking
He's
about.
talking about wealth. What do you
That's
do with
not
your
what we're
wealth
talking
when you
about.
pass
We're
away?
talking
The
about-
community, charities.
Yeah.
Same
they got to get there somewhere.
And if they don't,
It evaporate.
Oh, I guess that's what you can talk about.
hold on,
I guess that's what you can talk
Look,
about them,
They
though.
pass it
Like,
on to
you're
their
not
children.
hating on
That's
them,
how
but
most
you can
people
talk about
get
them
rich
because
is
they're
inheritance.
gone and they didn't really leave nothing for, I don't know. I mean, that's all.
Listen.
And who knows about what people do with it? I mean, how are you in that person's
what
business
did you?
that much?
what
How
did
are you in somebody else's business where you're trying to figure out what they did with the money when they die? You ain't got your own business. I'm just
Johnny,
trying
what
to,
was the question?
what did he do with his money when he died?
So that's your business.
What did you say, Mark? Mark,
But-
what did you say?
Well, what I was about to say is a certain politician who I won't name now said some years back about the pursuit of wealth. He said publicly that at some point, talking about money, he said at some point, I think you've earned enough. And I wonder whose job is it to say when another
Right.
person has earned enough money?
People who make
Here
It
less,
sounds like to
people
me
who
he's
make-
hating on somebody.
people who
Yeah,
make
it
less
sounds
money
like
than
you
that
say,
person.
I'm the one to say how much is enough that I've earned.
We got
Oh,
life,
look.
liberty, and for the pursuit of happiness over here. Pursuing money
Chuck-
makes you happy. Go for it.
Charles Barkley said, I don't listen to people. When they asked him, well, these people said this and that, he goes, I don't listen to people who make less money than me. Because, so, you know what? It's going to be real funny. Every time out, you can't take it with you. It's going to be real funny when you go to heaven and y'all do the tour and y'all be like, what's the big houses over there? Oh, that's the people who died with their money. Wait a minute.
They ain't gonna take it.
So you mean to tell me we're supposed to die on top of the money?
That's the person that owns Ford right there. That's the guy that
You're
owns
going to
Ford.
be so mad. You done got to
I
heaven.
can see.
You still
I can
broke.
see it now. All that wealth in the U-Haul at the funeral home, and it's gonna be left right. That's funny. Oh my God, that is so funny.
What was that
but
movie
it's so
with Will Smith and his son that talked about the pursuit of happiness? How you guys feel about that film? What's your perspective on that being a title and seeing his story in the film? Because happiness was just getting him and his boy a place to live.
Will Smith, yeah.
Yes, Will Smith and
Well,
in
yeah,
this-
and see, there you go. It's a good example of the definition of wealth always being relative. Because to this guy, wealth just meant having a roof over his head,
We're gonna ignore
which he finally got. And I heard, and when I took a couple of courses in economics, which I didn't do very well in, by the way. But I remember, economists, when they talk about supply and demand, they always talk in terms of want, not need. Because what we need to survive, if you think about it, is not very much just to survive. I mean, peanut butter, and a thatched roof will survive. All right. And it's when I heard a man go into a clothing store once, I just overheard the conversation. The salesman asked him, "Well, what do you need?" He said, "Well, if I was in here for what I needed, I wouldn't come into a store like this. I'm here for what I want." And so, needs a very relative term. That good movie is a good illustration of that.
Time for some final thoughts.
Why are you clearing your throat? What's
Time
going
for some
on?
final thoughts, everyone.
Do we know what that dang banner means?
Somebody vomited. I don't know. Who cares?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
They
Everybody,
probably
final thoughts.
they probably make less money than I do, so who cares?
Oh,
All right.
do we want to break down the college professors' pay here?
Me and
Final
Charles.
thoughts for me is pursue being happy. Like, just be happy. Whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat, just be happy. And that's it. You are wealthy. I mean, work hard, and that way you have your needs, your want, whatever, budget, management, whatever it is you think you need, go get it. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't look at anyone else. And focus on you, because when you get to heaven, God will ask you about you. He will not ask you about your neighbor. He will not ask you about Max Zuckerberg. He will not ask you about anything else. He will ask you about you. So you be happy. You enjoy your life. You pursue your happiness. And whatever that is, defined as or relative, enjoy your life. That's what I say. That's what I'm teaching my children. Yeah.
Mark?
Well, I worked, and I'm not, and before you kind of jump on me for what I'm about to say, I think I worked just as hard to get where I am as some people were talking about that have a lot of wealth. But fortunately, unfortunately, as John has indicated, I just chose another road. It wasn't necessarily the wrong road. It was just the road that I chose. But obtaining a PhD is hard work. Getting to the NBA is a hard work. But playing in the NBA or working for Microsoft very often just pays more money. And it's easy to watch, again, I'll say social media or people on TV or whatnot, or just people around you, and be envious of what they have that you don't have. But, and he didn't use this word a while ago, but Jay alluded to it as well, is that one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not covet. And that translates into envy. And those people who wrote that commandment knew what they were talking about because they knew basic human nature. So it's hard not to do this. When you see people around you that have inherited money, some work for it, what have you, to not be envious. But I try to live by the motto, don't envy what other people have. Just be grateful for what you have and try to get all you want.
That's great. Jay?
In the facets of, yes, everybody wants things in life, and whether or not you are able to accomplish those things is up to you at the end of the day based off of what path you choose with life. For me, I chose to go to school. It was not for me, so I chose a different path, out of which getting into an industry and trying to make money. Thus far, it's worked for me. Not saying it's going to work for everyone. However, down to the sense of make sure that you are able to support yourself, that it's not going to be a detriment to yourself. And if you want to, keep it private, because deep pockets make a big target. The more you spend and the more that you flaunt, the more people are going to start asking questions.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know I said I had my final statement. but I did talk to an uncle 2 years ago he built the first urgent care in the U.S. He had so much money. He pumped money into Obama's campaign and all that. All of it is gone. Had a couple of lawsuits with a doctor. All of it is gone. When I say that, he said to me, because I told him I want to do your story, I want to do a documentary, and he was like, all I just care about is that I'm alive today. And it could all just go away. So
Wow.
Very hard.
Henry?
Oh, instead of hating on the rich people, I think everybody should be nice to the rich people and find out their secret, and maybe you can be rich like they are. That's how I did it. Shit,
Cool. Alita?
Henry's camera was messed up a lot today, so we only got one curse word. We're way off the record.
I don't want to know what he was doing off camera, by the way.
You'll be surprised.
Oh Lord.
I would not be surprised.
Alita? Alita? He's frozen. You got it?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
That's good. Melvin?
Well, there you go, that Melvin. Spend less energy counting people's coins and more energy getting yours up if that's a thing for you. I have never wanted to be richer than any particular person. I've wanted to make enough money that I can be comfortable and pay bills and not be in debt. There's all forms of rich people, whether it was inherited by them, whether they worked hard, whether they did it illegally. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be important to you, because with more money comes more problems. Heck, if you make $100 a week, you still got family members trying to borrow $20 from you. So what do you think is going to happen when you make $1 million a week? All right. So spend less energy doing that. And for everyone who has a problem with people with money, and we hear the money is the root of all evil and money doesn't buy happiness, I'm going to tell you something. Every time I get a little more money, I get a little more happy. So I don't know who those people are, because I've said it on this show before. When I ate 4 for $4s at Wendy's, they were good. But when I get a steak from Ruth Chris, it's way better. Okay. So
yeah.
Start talking to people, like everyone was saying, that are successful. How did you get your success? How did you earn your money? My uncle used to tell me this all the time. Stop asking broke people how to make money. That's my final thoughts.
I have one thing. Let's say one thing. If you make because John Melvin Keone, whatever the hell his name is, was ranking on me a while ago. All right, and now I'm going to rank on him, and that is the politician I mentioned a while ago, who said at some point you've earned enough money, is a person. I don't know if you haven't seen John's apartment. Is a person that he has featured on a poster inside his apartment. So I'll leave it there.
Hey, and that politician can kiss my behind, because you still, at some point, you've earned enough money. Says who?
He's a former president.
He could be a former Miss America. I don't care.
Well, this is good. My final thoughts is that what was that, Chi-Chi? Okay.
I said my perspective.
All right. Well, I believe that your gift will make room for you, you know, and I believe that if there's no need to be envious of other people's wealth, you know, like Chi was saying, you know, sometimes people are on different dimensions. You may not ever get $1 million or $1 billion or whatever, but appreciate where you're at, what level that you're on, and whatever God has given you, work it. Work it, because within that gift is your wealth. That's what I believe. And I can remember when I, you know, came from the country of, you know, we was very meager. We didn't have a lot. You know, we had like an old outhouse to go piss in, and we had, we didn't have a lot. Okay, we had you know, holes in the wall and wind blowing through the, we had a hard way to go. But you know what? And I may not be living in a mansion, but I thank God for where I'm living, and that, you know, when you're happy, you know, that means a lot. And even though you got a rough start, don't mean you're going to end that way. So, you know, I like your story, Chi. So, you know what? Let's love one another. And I like what you said, Alita. You know, if you got a little bit more, what's wrong with helping somebody else? So just remember that today. And thank you once again for watching My Perspective. Thanks for our guests showing up. You know, really appreciate it. Piss off, everybody. Look, give us some love. Give us some love. Thank you for watching My Perspective.